Joining us now is David Horowitz, the best-selling author of many great books, including The Enemy Within, How a Totalitarian Movement is Destroying America. And David Horowitz, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Thanks for having me, Howie. That was a really pathetic summit, embarrassing beyond belief.
Have you ever gotten the Secretary of State, whoever he might be, confused with the foreign minister, David? I mean,
well, he invented a murder in the Capitol. Some Capitol police officer.
He's done that
murdered.
before. Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah, he's a stubborn liar. Very, usually a liar tells a big lie, they get caught, and they pretend they never said it. He just repeats it.
Yeah, I know, and I'm just looking for another. Oh, here, how about I'll play cut number 9 for David Horowitz.
I caught part of President Putin's press conference.
Well, he didn't. At least he called him President Putin. He didn't call him President Clutin, as he's called him in the past. Although he did first say that he was President Trump. So this is what we have now. Hey, David, are you planning to buy some of Hunter Biden's new artwork? They say it's going to go for
$500,000 a pick.
Right.
So now they're doing bribery in broad daylight, where it's a big news story everywhere, except they don't mention the obvious.
Right.
It's so brazen, and that's because they get away with it.
And his art dealer is a guy who did time in a California prison for assault. How appropriate that he be working with the Biden crime family.
It would have been more appropriate if he had gotten a prison sentence for forgery, but whatever.
Yeah. So, you sent me a piece about Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and the new Democrat order, and this is about this critical race theory that's now being inserted into the military.
Yeah, I've printed today in front page a petition to remove Lloyd Austin, General Austin. We have at the top of the military a dedicated America-hating, white-hating leftist who's training our troops in the preposterous, it's insulting 1619 story of our origins, teaching. This is the military command training our officers by telling them that America is a 400-year nightmare. Of course, America hasn't existed for 400 years, but that never bothers these leftists. Built on racism and slavery. It's a nightmare country. If you're 19 years old and you're contemplating whether it's worth risking your life to defend this country, how is that going to impact your calculation? And why is our military, and everybody he's appointed is the guy he's got in charge of his witch hunt in the military. And by the way, I'm sure your audience is already aware that the most massive witch hunt in American history is being organized by Joe Biden, not by Joe Biden, but by
his caregivers,
the invisible people behind him.
Yeah.
To declare they're going to hunt patriotic extremists as domestic terrorists. I mean, how sinister is that? I mean, it's just open. It's just a fascist campaign to destroy your political opposition and create a one-party state, which is what my book, The Enemy Within, is about.
I'm looking at during Austin's Senate confirmation hearing last January, he vowed to rid the U.S. military of the many, quote, racists and extremists, unquote, that allegedly have infiltrated it. Now, where are they? Where are they? Where are these racists and extremists?
They're in the Democrat Party. We're going to start with the squad.
Yeah. On January 6th, CBS News reported that this was after the so-called insurrection. CBS News reported 50 current or former military members were arrested. Actually, I'm reading now from your story. Actually, only one of the 50 was an active duty service member at the time, along with 4 who were current part-time troops in the Army Reserve or National Guard. And last night, we were talking about it earlier, Tucker Carlson was going on Fox about how many of the people who are referred to in these indictments are unindicted co-conspirators and apparently are agents provocateurs.
Well, it's obvious from the get-go that was a setup. Trump offered 10,000 National Guardsmen for January 6th to prevent any possible mayhem. And it was rejected, of course, by Pelosi and by the people in charge who are all Democrats. It's a complete setup.
Right.
I've
the whole thing with
to the Reichstag fire, which is how the Nazis took control of Germany. Hitler was elected, like Biden, in a democratic election. 4 weeks later, the Reichstag, which is their capital, burned. They blamed it on the communists and the liberals, the Social Democrats, and passed the Reichstag fire decree, which laid the groundwork for the Third Reich by criminalizing their opponents. It's what the Democrats are doing every time they open their mouths these days.
Right, and
treason to question an election. How un-American is that idea? Not to mention that the Democrats have challenged every Republican victory since 1980. This jerk Jamie Raskin. I mean, these people they're despicable.
We got one closer to home here.
He was in the House in January 2017 complaining about the election, and it was fraudulent.
Jim McGovern, our congressman from Worcester here in Massachusetts, was the same thing. He was with Raskin that day when they were challenging the results that Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton, and he was saying the same thing as Raskin in January. It was treason to question them. How about
but they don't have memory losses? It's not like they don't remember what they did.
How about the fake news about Donald Trump tear gassed the peaceful protesters, quote unquote, in Lafayette Park who had been trying to burn down St. John's Church? And it turns out the inspector
they were trying to burn down the White House. I mean, I watched that, and when he walked across the street, I mean, I held my breath that he would not be assassinated. It was a very brave thing he did. They mocked him, and of course they just make it up as they go along.
Right, and now the Inspector General's report has come out from the Interior Department, and it was Muriel Bowser, the mayor of D.C., who tried to keep the lockdown going as long as she could. She was the one whose police department tear gassed them, not any federal law enforcement. And then she went to the Democrat convention, David Horowitz, and she told a big whopper about how it was President Trump who tear gassed the so-called peaceful protesters, who, number one, weren't peaceful protesters, and number two, her police department did it, not Trump's.
Yeah. I have a series going in my magazine on racist mayors, of which she is one. These people, well, I think the appropriate term for them is fascists. This is the way fascists behave, people in a democracy. I mean, look, there are people on the fringes of our political culture who can be this reckless and this malicious and this dangerous, but we're talking about mayors. We're talking about people that Nancy Pelosi puts on the Foreign Affairs Committee and defends.
Right.
This is unprecedented. We've never had a situation like this in our country.
Let's talk about another instance this week. Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Michael Gilday. He was before Congress yesterday, and he has apparently ordered that Ibram X. Kendi's book, How to Be an Anti-Racist, should be on the list of books that every U.S. sailor should read.
Kendi is an idiot. Kendi is an idiot, and he's also a stone-cold racist. And that How to Be an Anti-Racist in his book is you have to agree with the left on everything that's a racial issue.
He called Justice Amy Coney Barrett a white colonizer. That's his word, a white colonizer, because she adopted 2 children from Haiti. And so he was asked about this by a congressman who's in the Navy Reserves, Jim Banks from Indiana. And apparently he wouldn't answer any questions about what was in the book, all these racist statements that in this book that he was recommending. And one GOP source said that Gilday, the admiral there, he was shaking like a leaf as he was being questioned about this.
Good. I think justice is coming. I think retribution is on its way. I mean, they have roused up the American people. The left never knows when to stop, and they've gone many bridges too far here, particularly with the indoctrination of kindergartners, teaching them that the white kindergartners are racists, and that all of them have gender fluidity and can be any gender they want. I think parents are finally paying attention.
Oh, I think so too. I like the pushback from parents and all and you know, most of the school boards and school committees aren't even having open meetings yet. A lot of these people are going on Zoom, and you know that's very different than being backed up by a cheering group of people behind you. It's tougher, but they're so angry about what their kids are being taught that they're willing to go to the mat like this. And you're right. It's very refreshing to see.
This is the gift that Trump has, the lasting gift he's given, which is he's created the first mass patriotic conservative movement in my lifetime. When I came over into the right and voted for Reagan 40 years ago, I looked around. The first thing I said is, where's the ground army? The left has all these organizations. They're always attacking politicians, calling them names, calling CEOs of big companies names until they get harassed enough that they buy the party line. But on the right, there was nothing. Now, I mean, it's hundreds of thousands of people. It's like Trump gave a speech in
North Carolina,
Butler, Pennsylvania.
Oh. Yeah.
To 50,000 people.
I know.
Butler has a population of 1,240, and it was a very cold night that he gave the speech.
I know.
on.
And then Trump lost the state after 200,000 more votes were cast than there were registered voters in Pennsylvania. Yeah. But the mainstream media says nothing to see here.
If you believe that Joe Biden got 16 million more votes than Barack Obama at his height, I got a bridge to sell you.
All right, David Horowitz, your newest book is The Enemy Within, How a Totalitarian Movement is Destroying America. All of David's books are great. I loved his book about the Kennedys a few years back. Thanks for being with us, David Horowitz. The reviews are in for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier. One user wrote, simple to use and easy to install. Just plug them in. Have 3 dogs and bought 3. Love the change, unquote. We've been talking for weeks now about the thunderstorm helping with allergies, but like many users say, it's also great for odors. Another satisfied customer says, my basement had a dank smell to it. Within 20 minutes of using the thunderstorm, the smell was gone. If you like fresh air, you need the Thunderstorm Air Purifier. It's so small you can hold it in the palm of your hands like I'm doing now on YouTube. It doesn't take up any floor space. The AC may be on now, and that means doors are closed. But when doors are closed, odors are more noticeable. When you are cooking, you may not like the lingering fish or garlic or cabbage smell, but that's no problem for the thunderstorm. Order today and order more than one because you are going to want more. Another owner said, this is the second time I've ordered the thunderstorm and I now have 5. My house, including my basement, has never smelled so fresh. Love them. You will too. Order the thunderstorm today at EdenPure.com. Click on the Howie banner and put in code word Howie10. That problem room will never be a problem again. I'm Howie Carr.
He only steals from the very best.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Howie Carr returns after this.